guys, and welcome to Simply Made by Erin, my crochet channel. Today we are working on this adorable crochet daisy applique. The center can be open like this to fit around a towel holder, or you can close it off and use it for a bag charm, garlands. You can sew it on to baskets and planters. Really anything you can think of, these would be so cute on. They're really easy to make. My original idea for them was to leave the center open so that it can fit around the button of my crochet towel holder pattern. So this is the button closure towel holder pattern, and you just need a button about 3/4 of an inch to an inch is about the size I recommend, but you can really do whatever size you want. And you just leave the opening of the flower open enough to fit over the button. So one tip I will add is when you're sewing the button on, you need to make sure it's nice and secure because you're going to be taking these on and off. And then you need to make sure you leave some space between the crochet piece and the button so there's room for the thickness of the flower to fit around it. If you prefer my 2-ring version, that is not a button closure, that works as well. You can either sew a button right on the front of that crochet piece, or you can just sew the flower right on. You'd probably, if you were going to sew it on, you might want the closed center version. But I prefer adding the button just so you can make these removable, because I am doing a series and I'm going to have a sunflower and a rose coming in the next few weeks as well. So I definitely suggest just sewing a button right on there. So that's that. I will have the towel holder patterns linked in the caption below, as well as the free daisy pattern. So what you will need for this pattern is 2 strands of worsted weight yarn held together. I used Lion Brand Made with Love, the Cottony One. This is the color Gold Metal. And then for the leaves, I used Olive Twist. And then the petals, I used Lychee White. Now, I prefer cotton when we're working in the kitchen. This is not 100% cotton. It is 60% cotton and 40% acrylic, but since it's just going to be used on a towel holder and it doesn't have to withstand heat, this should be fine. If you want 100% cotton, that's fine too. I just really like the texture of this yarn and I've worked with it a lot. So when you're working with 2 strands of yarn held together, you can either use 2 skeins or you can just pull from the outside and the inside of the skein. That's usually what I do so that I don't have to have more than 1 skein if I don't need it. And then besides the yarn, you just need an H 8mm crochet hook, a tapestry needle to weave your ends in, and then a pair of scissors. Gauge isn't really that important in this pattern, but if you want to check the measurements of your flower, a flexible measuring tape is helpful as well. I'm going to get all set up and we're going to work on this cute little daisy. Okay, so I have my 2 strands of yarn held together and my 5mm crochet hook. So this pattern is super quick and easy. So we just need to leave a tail long enough to weave our ends in and then create a magic circle, which is also known as magic ring. So I just wrap the yarn around my finger twice. Then I insert the hook under both loops, or all the loops. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then chain 1. Okay. So for the open version, we're gonna work 10 single crochet in the circle. If you want to do the closed version, we're gonna do 10 half double crochet. Okay, so for a single crochet, you insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, we're gonna repeat that until we have a total of 10 stitches, 10 single crochet. Now, if you're gonna do the half double crochet version, let me show you that really fast. A half double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 3 loops. Let me show you one more time. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 3. Okay, so for this version, we're gonna do the open version, so just single crochet. So go ahead and work in that circle until you have a total of 10 single crochets. Okay, so I worked 10 single crochet in that circle. Now we're gonna fasten off. So the center, you only wanna tighten it a little bit, and you want the button that you're using, if you're using a button, you want it handy so you can fit it around the button and see if you need to tighten it or make that circle looser. Definitely make it a little bit looser than you think, because once you weave the ends in, the circle tightens up a little bit. So you just kind of fit it around that button before you close everything off. Okay, so we are gonna finish off the center with an invisible join. So you just cut the tail long enough to weave the ends in, pull it through, and then for an invisible join, we find the first stitch of the round, and from the front, working from the front to the back, you insert your needle in all of the loops, and then you pull gently. So the idea of this is that you create kind of a faux stitch or a faux loop. So you want it about the same size as the other loops. Okay, and then you find the last stitch of the round, so the last single crochet, which is right here, and you work in the back loops only. So this would have been the front loop, and then this is the back loop. So you, going from the front of your work to the back under the back loops only, you insert your needle and pull through. And then you just pull to create that kind of faux loop, and see how it creates a perfect join. Okay, and then you weave your ends in. So what I was saying before is you want to make sure you leave this circle big enough, because when you start weaving the ends in, you kind of have to work around the circle, and it does tighten this up a little bit. Okay. So just finish weaving the ends in. I always like to go back and forth a few times. And you want to get your ends in pretty neat, nice and neat, so that the circle looks good when it's around the button. So kind of take your time when you're weaving the ends in, but I always like to go back and forth a few times and get it nice and tight under the fibers of the yarn so that it stays put. So I'm going to go ahead and finish weaving the center in off camera, and then we'll start on the leaves, or sorry, the petals. Okay, so we have the center of our daisy complete. This is what the single crochet version looks like, and then the half double crochet version. So we are going to work on the single crochet version. The half double crochet is exactly the same. The rest of the pattern is identical. So if you want that filled in circle, just make sure to do half double crochet instead of the single crochet. Okay, so to join the new color, we just insert our hook into that first stitch. So this was the faux loop I created from the invisible join. Right here, it does not count as a stitch. So just go under the front and back loops of that first single crochet, and then just pull up a loop and then chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we are going to create our first petal. So we are going to do a triple crochet, which is also known as a treble crochet. So you yarn over twice, then insert your hook into that same stitch, the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So that's the first triple crochet. We're going to do 1 more triple crochet into that same stitch. So again, yarn over twice, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3, and then slip stitch into that same stitch. Okay, so our first petal is complete. That's what it looks like. Okay, so to set up the next petal, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then working in the next stitch, we're going to work 2 triple crochets, okay, 1 more, and then chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then just like we did in the first, we slip stitch into that same stitch. Okay, and then we have our second petal. Okay, and to set up the next petal, just like we did before, chain 3. Okay, and then 2 triple crochet and a chain 3 in that next stitch. And you just repeat that all the way around until you have 10 petals total. 1, 2, 3 chains, slip stitch, again, chain 3. Okay, and just keep repeating that around till you have 10 petals total. When you're finished with the last petal, you do not do a chain 3 at the very end. I'm going to finish up and then I'll meet you when we get to the end and show you what I mean. Okay, so I just finished the triple crochet on that 10th petal, and then I'm going to do the chain 3 and slip stitch. Okay, and then the chain 3 that we would normally do, you just go ahead and skip that because you finished that last petal. Okay, so make sure you have 10 petals. They should kind of overlap like that. That's how we want it to be, so it's nice and full. Okay, and so after that last slip stitch, you just fasten off and then pull the yarn through. Make sure you don't accidentally work into that invisible join. It creates that faux loop that looks like an extra stitch, but we're not counting it as a stitch. We want 10 petals, not 11. And then we're just gonna weave our tails in. So I go over to that first petal and put my needle through there to finish it off, so it kind of almost joins them a little bit. And then just go to the back and weave the tails in really nice and tight and secure. You want to make sure you get these really tight, especially if you're going to be pulling them on and off those towel holders. Okay. And then I usually go back one more time. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and weave the second tail in off camera, and then we are going to start on the leaves. Okay, so here is what the finished daisy looks like. I really like the leaves on this because you can kind of flatten them out like that, or you can kind of curl them in like that, and it's like nice and full I just think it looks really nice. Okay, so for the leaves, again, we want 2 strands of the worsted weight cotton held together. And we're going to attach it on the back side. So I like to go in between the petals so it kind of peeks out like that. So each leaf is worked separately. So on the back side, between the petals, I insert my hook under the loops between the 2 petals down here close to the base, kind of like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. These aren't actual stitches. They're just the loops that are formed from the petals. So that's kind of what I do. Then I join the yarn. I just put it on my hook and pull up a loop. Okay, and then we're going to chain 2. Okay, and we are going to work the entire leaf in those loops that we inserted our hook into. Okay, so the first stitch is going to be a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook into those same loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, now we're going to work 2 treble crochet. So these leaves are really thick. We're going to fit a lot of stitches into those loops, and it might feel a little bit awkward, but trust me, it works out. Okay, so again, the triple crochet is yarn over twice, insert your hook under those loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, one more treble. Okay, so that is one side of the leaf. Okay, so to get that nice little pointy tip of the leaf, we are working a chain 2 picot. So you chain 2, 1 and 2, and then you slip stitch into that first chain you created from the chain 2. So we're going to work in the back hump of that chain 1. So here's the chain 1 we created right here. So if you turn it slightly, if you turn that chain, you'll see this back hump right here. I hope you can see it. We want to work the slip stitch under that back hump, those 2 loops. So it's kind of hard to get into. Okay, and you just slip stitch. Okay, that creates a picot, this little tiny. Okay, now we're going to work the second side of the leaf. We're still under those same loops. So 2 treble crochets. One, 2, 3. Okay, and now a double crochet. See it coming together. So up here when we did the picot, the reason I like working the back hump is it makes this little gap a little bit smaller. If you work in the regular chain, this gap is quite big and I don't really love it. So it just kind of slims that down a little bit. Okay, so to finish this off, we're going to chain 2. Okay, and then just slip stitch into that same loop. Okay, and then we're going to fasten off. So when you're working that leaf, just kind of double check that the green color is not coming through. So I joined it right here. Just make sure it's not showing through. If it's showing through, you might need to kind of adjust your placement a little bit. But I've noticed that if I work right between those two petals, it works well. Okay, so this is what it's looking like. Pull the tail all the way through. Okay, and then I just kind of like adjust it. It has a tendency to be kind of off to the side like that. I kind of adjust it like that, get it where I want, make sure it looks nice and neat, and then I weave the tails in. So when you're weaving the tails in, you can kind of position it even better. So take this first tail and kind of go under the loops here. Again, just double check as you're weaving things in to make sure you're not going through the front. You don't want that green showing through the front, okay? So I kind of pulled my tail and that straightened that leaf right up. Okay. And again, if it's kind of wobbly, just go under some of the white or even the orange if you need to get it kind of tight and secure against the back of that flower. Okay, and then just finish weaving it in. Go back and forth a few times. Oops, I pulled that out. Make sure when you're going back and forth, you don't actually pull the end out back through your work. I try to go through some of the fibers so it holds it in place a little bit better. I think that looks good. Okay. And then tighten that beginning tail and do kind of the same thing. See how nice and secure it is, and it's peeking through and it looks really cute. You can kind of pinch the leaves shut or kind of do it however you want. Okay, and then again, you kind of go under some of those loops and then back up this side here. See, the green's not showing through, so we're good. Okay, so that's kind of what I do. Maybe go back and forth a few more times with this end before you cut it off. And then we're gonna put a leaf on the other side. I like to go kind of on the opposite side, so probably right here between those two petals. So exactly the same. Let me just kind of show you how we start that again. Okay, so between the two petals, kind of like that. Okay, and then just like that. Okay, and again, chain 2. Okay, and then create that same leaf. So I'm not going to do the leaf again, but again, it's chain 2, double crochet, 2 triple crochet, the little picot stitch, 2 triple crochet, a double crochet, chain 2, slip stitch, and then just weave it in. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that second leaf off camera, and then I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, so I finished that leaf. I didn't weave the ends in yet, but again, just kind of adjust it and use those ends to kind of hold it in place when you weave the tails in. There you have the cutest little daisy. I wanted to mention that I use 2 strands held together because my crochet towel holders are kind of big and I wanted it nice and oversized. But if you want to use 1 strand, here's kind of the size difference. So this is 2 strands using the H hook, the 5mm hook. This is 1 strand, and I used a 4.5mm crochet hook. So it's about 4 inches across with the leaves, about 3.5 to 4 inches without the leaves. And then I think this measures about an inch shorter, half an inch. So 3.5 by about 3 inches. So there's the size difference. So you certainly could do 1 strand if you prefer. You guys know I love chunky yarn and I love working with 2 strands held together. Here's kind of what the smaller size would look like on the towel holder. So either way works really well. The full pattern will be linked in the caption below. As always, it's free on my blog. And stay tuned. Next week will be the sunflower pattern. I'm going to pop a picture up of those, the sunflower, and then the following week, the rose. And you can kind of mix and match, do bag charms, garlands, whatever you want. They're just going to be really fun for spring, Mother's Day, summer, year round. I would love to hear your thoughts on any ideas you have for other appliques. I was thinking of coming out with a Christmas series, maybe a fall series, Easter next year, but let me know in the comments and have a great day.